Our story begins on Coruscant as Jedi Master Mace Windu is investigating a trail leading him to the hopeful discovery of Darth Sidious and his true identity. For the past few days, pieces have started to truly come together. While on one of the latest missions, in the Outer Rim Sieges, the Jedi infiltrated a base on Cato Neimoidia, and in his escape, Newt Gunray left behind his Mechno chair. At first, this seemed like nothing, but upon further investigation, Windu and a squad of clone troopers uncovered something that could change the tide of the war. Embedded in this chair was a secret channel that had a saved holo recording of Darth Sidious himself. It was a hooded man, but it was impossible to figure out who it was. So, Windu began further research into the chair, and it was revealed that it was created by the Limerge Company. There was only one Limerge building here on Coruscant. It was deep in the industrial sector, and underneath the building were a series of tunnels that led right back to the 500 Republica building, the home of the most influential politicians and workers in the entire Republic, including Supreme Chancellor Palpatine. So, using clone investigators, Mace Windu was able to uncover a series of footprints, but that was right when the attack on Coruscant came in. Mace was asked to join in on the fight, but as the attack came, Windu began to realize something. The Separatists were attacking Coruscant right as he was about to uncover the truth. This made Windu think that he was extremely close. So, while the attack got underway, Windu only continued his investigations. It took everything in him not to go out and help the Republic in this fight, but he knew this mission could potentially end the war. The Jedi suspected that Darth Sidious has infiltrated the Republic at its highest levels. Perhaps he's even gotten to Palpatine himself. Windu would still work with these clones, following the uncovered footprints until they led right into the suite of none other than Chancellor Palpatine. Windu had it. After all these years of trusting Palpatine, he found out that Palpatine has been playing him and the entire galaxy in his quest for power. Windu immediately contacted the Jedi who were protecting Palpatine, Shaak Ti to be specific, to be wary of him, but Windu would quickly hear back that it's too late. Palpatine has been captured by the Separatists. Windu shook his head. He didn't quite understand. Why would Palpatine purposely get himself captured? And then, Mace asked the Jedi Temple who'd been called back to Coruscant to rescue Palpatine. The answer was exactly what Mace feared. Skywalker and Kenobi were on their way, and Mace wondered if this could be a trap for Skywalker. The Council has long been wary of Anakin and Palpatine's relationship. Mace always hated it, and he knew now that Anakin may be walking right into a trap set by the Sith. Meanwhile, out in hyperspace, Anakin, Obi-Wan, and their clone legions were approaching Coruscant when Mace Windu contacted them. Skywalker and Kenobi took the message, and Mace seemed even more serious than usual, which Anakin thought to be impossible. But today Mace told them the truth. Their investigations have led him to believe that Palpatine is Darth Sidious. He suspects that they're walking right into a trap designed to bring Anakin to the dark side. Anakin almost laughed. He told Windu this doesn't add up. Palpatine is a good man. He always has been. He trusts Palpatine as much as he trusts Obi-Wan. Windu noticed Obi-Wan flinch a bit at this remark, and Windu said that he's not 100% certain, but he wants the two of them to be on guard the entire time. Their mission is to rescue Palpatine, but if they get any sort of hint that he is a Sith Lord, do not be afraid to act. The message ended, and Anakin just stood up, saying he was going to the hangar. Obi-Wan could feel Anakin's unease in the Force. For as much as his former Padawan wanted this report to be completely false, Obi-Wan feared it may be true, and he feared that Anakin knew it may be true. So, he too would head down to the hangar, preparing to follow Anakin into the space battle. Sometime later, Dooku and Palpatine were looking out at the battle playing outside of the Invisible Hand Spire, as Palpatine said that Anakin and Obi-Wan will be here soon, and Anakin's path into the dark side will truly begin. As far as Dooku knew, the plan was to turn Anakin and soon have him lead the coming Sith army, while Sidious and Dooku rule the Empire together. Of course, Dooku was being played. The plan was always to abandon him for Anakin, and as Sidious sensed the two Jedi land in the ship and begin their approach, he told Dooku to go and wait for them to arrive. Skywalker and Kenobi would land aboard the Invisible Hand after fighting through perhaps the largest battle of the war, and as they climbed through the ship, Obi-Wan could sense Anakin's unease growing, and eventually, Obi-Wan confronted Anakin on it, saying that perhaps Windu was right. It would line up with the direction of this war, and it's no secret that Anakin and Palpatine are closer than any Jedi should be with the Chancellor. Anakin then stopped in his tracks, turning to face Obi-Wan, saying that he knows it makes sense. Anakin told Obi-Wan they need to split up. If this is truly a trap meant to turn him to the dark side, then the best way to do that would be by killing Obi-Wan. The Jedi Master remembered how Anakin descended down a dark path when Obi-Wan faked his death during the war, so he knew Anakin was right. But splitting up was not a risk that Obi-Wan wanted to take. He couldn't let his former student just walk alone into a room with 2 Sith Lords. But Anakin begged Obi-Wan to trust him. He has to handle this. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan will have time to go and confront Grievous. If he can defeat Grievous, and if Anakin is successful, then they will have victory here today, not just for this battle, but for the entire war. Obi-Wan looked into Anakin's serious eyes, and behind them, he saw the boy from Tatooine, all grown up, leading the final mission of a galactic war, and he firmly told Anakin he is the chosen one, he believes in him, and they would say goodbye, separating for now. Obi-Wan tried to get to the command bridge, while Anakin got into the elevator for the spire, and as the doors opened, he would see Chancellor Palpatine sitting in a chair near the large windows. Despite the raging battle outside, the spire was eerily quiet. As Anakin descended the steps, Palpatine turned, his face etched with fake relief, and then he curiously asked where Kenobi was. Anakin looked away, faking this, saying that Obi-Wan didn't make it. Palpatine bowed his head in fake sadness, saying he is so sorry. And then Dooku emerged. But before Dooku could flip off of the balcony, Anakin's plan went into motion. He leapt into the air. Flying at Dooku, lightsaber ignited. He cut down the super battle droids, then pointed his blade at Dooku. Dooku smiled, igniting his red saber, and the two of them circled each other, high up on the balcony. Dooku noted to himself that there was something off with Anakin. Something has changed. Anakin moved in, swinging at Dooku as the two of them clashed their blades together. They stayed high up on this balcony, out of range of Palpatine's ears. Anakin swung hard, locking sabers with Dooku, and before Dooku could get into a battle rhythm, Anakin made sure his back was to Palpatine, and he asked Dooku a simple question. Is it him? Is Palpatine Darth Sidious? And Dooku's reaction gave Anakin the answer he was looking for. The truth threatened to break Anakin. His friend, a man he saw like a father, never told him the truth. He was always a liar, responsible for Ahsoka leaving the Order. He tried to have Padme killed so many times. It was Palpatine's fault that Anakin spent so many months away from his wife. Instead of letting this break him, Anakin decided to use it as fuel. He kicked Dooku square in the chest, pushing him into the elevator, and Anakin got back into it as well, closing the door behind him. He now had Dooku alone, in extremely close quarters. Back in the spire, Palpatine was all alone. He honestly wasn't sure what to do. If he just escaped, Anakin would know this was all fabricated. Little did Palpatine know, Anakin knew everything. But Palpatine would just stay put for now, not knowing Anakin had the truth. In the elevator, Dooku and Anakin circled each other, an understanding coming between them as Dooku simply asked how he found out. Anakin said it's irrelevant. He told Dooku his entire ideology is a scam. He claims to be the savior of the galaxy, getting rid of corruption, and all the while, he's the one putting the most corrupt man in the galaxy into a greater role. Dooku angrily replied that Anakin's view of the galaxy is so simple, good and evil, no in between. And Dooku continued, saying he knows what he does is wrong. He has sacrificed everything to bring forth a galaxy free of greed and corruption. He yelled at Anakin that the Jedi Order is blinded by their own arrogance. There is no Jedi that sees the truth about this galaxy. And Anakin raised his own voice now, yelling at Dooku that he could have been that Jedi by his side. Together, they could have fixed the Order. Dooku noticed Anakin begin to tear up as he now said that Qui-Gon could have been that Jedi. The three of them, along with Obi-Wan, they could have saved the Republic from the Sith. They could have brought the Jedi into a greater era, but Dooku chose war. He chose to end Qui-Gon's life instead of save him on Naboo. And then Anakin told Dooku it's not too late. He claims the Jedi are blind, and yet he cannot see that Sidious intends to discard of him. Dooku shook his head, saying it's not true. The Sith plan is to rule together. He is the one who's been trying to recruit Obi-Wan to join them. He sees Anakin's vision, but it was never possible with the Jedi. The way of the Sith is the only way. Anakin told Dooku he knows that's not true deep down. He knows deep down that Sidious intends to replace him. They can easily prove it together. And Dooku, for the first time in over a decade, would allow his belief in Sidious to waver. Part of him realized that Anakin may be telling the truth. So, he would look Anakin in the eyes, truly seeing him, seeing his fire, his passion, his desire to do good in Anakin. Dooku realized he may be seeing a younger version of himself. Perhaps the reason he always despised Anakin was because he knew they could have been a great pairing, in another life perhaps. But today, Dooku nodded to say they will do this together. If Anakin is right, perhaps then he will join him. Back in the spire, Palpatine waited with anticipation until finally the elevator doors opened and Dooku was force-pushed out of it, landing on the cold steel floor in front of Palpatine. Anakin leapt out now, slamming his blade down on Dooku, who held his own saber barely in front of his face. Palpatine laughed, telling Anakin This is good. And Anakin twisted his hands, ripping Dooku's lightsaber out of his grip. Anakin pointed his own blade down to the helpless Dooku beneath him. Palpatine's smile only grew. He could feel Anakin's anger, his hatred, and he told Anakin to do it. Kill him now. And in that moment, Dooku broke. He saw now that his entire life, all of his struggles, his sacrifices, everything he's done, his grand vision, all of it was a pathetic sham, because he was always just meant for this, to be the victim of a cold-blooded murder from Anakin Skywalker, to be replaced. So, Dooku knew, it is time to come back. The Sith played him perfectly, until now. Anakin gave Dooku the most subtle nod, then he lifted his blade, intending to strike down Dooku. Sidious' smile grew. He told Anakin to use his anger, strike down his true enemy. It was exactly as Sidious envisioned it. But then, Dooku's lightsaber ignited, cutting right into the side of Sidious. Dooku used the Force, guiding it to him. Sidious gasped. Dooku got to his feet, calling the saber back into his open hand. Sidious looked up in horror, in defeat, and in failure, and the top half of his body fell to the floor. It was a release of a decade's worth of emotions for Dooku. Part of him wanted to take the galaxy as his own. He could be the true Sith Lord, but he knew deep down that was not what he wanted. Anakin was right. The way of the Sith was one of pain, suffering, and betrayal. If the galaxy were ever going to truly rebuild, it had to be in the light. He finally knew this to be true. And now, the mission was General Grievous. If they can take him down, they can end this war today. But meanwhile, on the bridge of the Invisible Hand, Grievous was staring in disbelief at one of the security monitors. He just watched Palpatine be cut in half, but before he could even think about this, the doors swung open behind him, and Obi-Wan greeted him with a simple hello there. Grievous turned, igniting 4 lightsabers, and just lunging at Kenobi. He didn't have time for this. The two of them dueled through the control room, droids and Neimoidians running away or being cut down, and Obi-Wan soon cut through one of Grievous's arms. Obi-Wan smiled at him. The general just growled in frustration, knowing he has to survive this encounter. He told Kenobi that he will lose, then smashed right through one of the windows. Grievous flew out into space, used a cable to launch back into the ship, and headed right for the escape pods. Inside of the ship, Obi-Wan survived the windows breaking, and he grabbed his comlink, telling Anakin that Grievous has escaped. Should he come meet with him with Dooku and Palpatine? Anakin quickly replied back, saying that Palpatine is dead, but he and Dooku will now pursue Grievous. Obi-Wan took a moment to process everything that was just said, and he had to ask Anakin to repeat himself. Did he say that he is with Dooku? Anakin just said he will explain later, and up near the escape pods, Dooku and Anakin turned the corner at the same time to see Grievous running away as always. And finally, Dooku was able to let out his true feelings about Grievous. He always despised him, and as Grievous was about to eject, Dooku used the Force to rip the escape pod door, pulling Grievous out into the room with them. Grievous rolled to the floor, then looked up to see Skywalker and Dooku. Blades ignited, and Grievous called Dooku traitorous scum. Dooku said that he's always wanted to dismantle Grievous, piece by piece. And finally, he will get that chance. Grievous would lunge in at Anakin and Dooku, holding 3 lightsabers, after Kenobi cut down one of his arms. And although Grievous was strong, although he was trained in the Jedi arts by Dooku himself, he would never truly stand a chance against these two. Dooku and Anakin were perhaps the 2 best duelists in the galaxy, with respect to Yoda, Windu, Kenobi, Plo, and together, Dooku and Anakin would destroy Grievous. From here, the 2 of them would wait until Kenobi arrived, and he would hold back his shock as the 3 of them got into an escape pod, blasting out of the Invisible Hand as the ship was ripped apart. Dooku would look out of the escape pod viewport, watching this fleet be ripped apart, knowing there was no turning back now. Sidious was gone, Grievous was gone, and the Separatist leaders would soon be arrested on Utapau. When their escape pod landed on Coruscant, Anakin and Obi-Wan requested a high security detail to bring them right to the temple, as they have a prisoner that the public cannot yet see. So, Windu and Yoda would personally fly over to the landing spot near the industrial sector, and they would see these 2 Jedi standing with Dooku. Windu had no feelings of remorse for Dooku. A large part of him wished he'd cut Dooku down on Geonosis when he had the chance. Every day, Mace regretted that Dooku was still alive, ruining this galaxy with war, but today he was here, offering his surrender. For Yoda, this was a surreal moment. Dooku's turn to the dark side affected him more than he ever let anyone know. All throughout his training with Dooku, he could sense that he was different than the rest of the Jedi. He had ideas that stretched far beyond the temple. He wanted to fix the galaxy. His ambitions led him to the Sith. But today, Dooku saw the truth. He saw that Anakin Skywalker was the answer, not as a Sith, but as the Jedi that Dooku had been waiting for. And Dooku would tell Yoda and Windu that he has all of the information that they've been waiting for. All he asks in exchange for his testimony is to be exiled into the galaxy. He does not wish to rule any longer. He will record a message for the Republic and for the Separatists to see, and then he will disappear. Yoda agreed, though Windu was more hesitant. How could they know that Dooku won't just return to the galaxy and try again? But Dooku explained he just killed Sidious, who Windu knew now for sure was Palpatine, and he also killed Grievous, and soon will give up the location to the corporate leaders. If this is a strategy for more power, then he's a fool. And so, Dooku would soon record a message for the Senate to see, and within hours, the Galactic Senate would gather, and in this giant meeting, the Separatist senators would be looped in as well, as Dooku's message was broadcasted to all of them. Dooku said that this war was never what any of them believed. From the beginning, he and Chancellor Palpatine worked together to create this galactic conflict. The two of them saw the corruption in the galaxy, and Dooku thought the best path to fix it was with the Sith, with Darth Sidious, who was posing as Chancellor Palpatine. The entire Senate heard this. They all gasped in unison, realizing the truth. And then, Dooku said he did all of this until he did what he had to do by killing Sidious. Dooku said that he created the clone army. He helped create the full droid army. He lost hope in the Republic and in the Jedi, but he has seen that he was wrong. The Jedi Order, led by two of the most popular faces in the galaxy, Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi, are the future. Dooku continued on for a long time, laying everything out, making it undeniable. And across the galaxy, on Utapau, the Separatist leaders would access this broadcast. They would prepare to evacuate the planet, but before they could, a Republic fleet led by Master Windu would arrive, and he led the clones into the planet to win one final battle. When it was over, the Jedi told the Senate that Dooku's whereabouts are unknown. The message was given to them, and then he disappeared. But without Palpatine, Grievous, or Dooku in the way, true negotiations for peace could truly begin, and these negotiations would go through very quickly. The groundwork for it had been laid over many months, and every time Padme, Bail, or a Separatist senator got close to true peace talks, one of the leaders of this war got in the way and interfered. But that would no longer happen. Peace was achieved. The war was over. Anakin would find out Padme was pregnant, making these final days of war some of the greatest of his entire life. Before long, Padme would give a safe birth, and after a few weeks of the galaxy settling back in after war, and the Jedi calling everyone home, Yoda would request that Anakin and Obi-Wan come with him on a new mission. Both Jedi had no idea what this could be, but they would follow Yoda into a transport ship, blasting off into hyperspace. While flying through the blue stars, Yoda told them where they're going. They're off to find an old friend, someone who's learned to live after death. At the same time, both Anakin and Obi-Wan would say Qui-Gon's name, and when they dropped out of hyperspace, there was another ship waiting for them. Dooku was here. Yoda had requested that Dooku meet them here, as this would allow him to find some redemption in his final days. Dooku could of course never return to the galaxy. He was a traitor, a murderer, and rightfully hated, but Yoda wanted him to see that he made the right choice in the end. So, the four Jedi closest in relation to Qui-Gon Jinn would descend down into the swampy Dagobah planet, and Yoda would help teach them to find Qui-Gon. All four of them would go off on their own path here on Dagobah, and Qui-Gon would come to each of them individually, guiding them into their next steps. For Anakin, this was balancing his family life with being a great Jedi. Yoda and the Council would not expel Anakin in the end, and because Ahsoka returned with Maul and chose to come back to the Order as a Jedi Knight, Anakin would soon be granted the rank of Master, as he would soon introduce his twin children to the Jedi Order, as Padme was working hard next to Chancellor Organa. For Obi-Wan, he would find that his future was as a leader in the Jedi Council. When Yoda eventually does step down, many Jedi will look to him after his heroics in this war. For Yoda, the next steps were all about reflection. His leadership brought the Jedi into war, and whether that was truly his fault or not, he looked inward, seeing it was time for the Jedi to move away from the Senate and politics. For Dooku, it was all about finding peace in his life of exile. He would find the light again. He would live out his final days in peace after making the right choice in the end. Overall, the galaxy was safe. The Jedi would settle in as heroes for the people, but every day, Windu would wonder what would have happened if he didn't find out the truth. Would Anakin have turned to the dark side? Would anyone have been able to stop him? These were questions he was glad he would never have to answer, as the scariest question of all was simply, what if Anakin Skywalker turned to the dark side? And folks, that is our story here today. I thought it was, a little funny to end it with Windu asking a what if, anyways. Hope you guys enjoyed. As I've mentioned in the past, Dooku is one of my favorite characters to write, and of course Anakin is as well, as you can see, because I've made, one or two Anakin videos in the past. So yeah, I haven't really combined them much, or maybe I have, I don't remember all the videos I've made, naturally, because I've made a lot of them, but this was one that I just, came up with the other day, and it's not the craziest idea, but it was fun to write, and it's a challenge, right, to turn Dooku to the light side in that final moment, because it's the moment where all of their plans kind of culminate. But I think having Anakin kind of just talk to Dooku and then showing him that Palpatine wants to betray him, I think it's a good choice. And also, the part at the beginning of the Mace Windu finding out the identity of Sidious, that is not canon anymore, but it's legends. It's in the Labyrinth of Evil novelization that leads directly into Revenge of the Sith. That novel actually does have the Battle of Coruscant, and it has Windu going through all of those clues that I laid out in the beginning. So yeah, really interesting novel, and I wanted to just integrate that to give a way for Anakin to kind of board the ship and be intent on, not exactly turning Dooku, but more so finding out the truth about Palpatine and bringing Dooku to his side in the end. So appreciate you guys. Let me know what you want to see next. As always, I'll see you in the next video.